Then a little bit after that, he's like, babe, he's walking behind me. I said, who? He said, Jesus, he's walking behind me. I said, babe, just go rest in his arms, babe. I said, I love you, and, we'll see each other soon, one day. And I said, you're okay. And I just hugged him and I kissed him. And I hadn't slept in like 72 hours because we were going through, we knew that his time was coming. Yeah. And so I fell asleep. And when I woke up to the alarm, because I was also working a 40 plus, hour job.
Wow.
And so when I woke up to the alarm, I felt him, and I remembered, and I felt him, and he was already gone.
Welcome to Exchanging Secrets podcast. I'm your co-host, Mindy Silva, here with
Grace Elizondo,
Stephanie Elizondo,
Karen Macias,
Julie Luna.
And we're so excited to have our guests here today. We have Stephanie and Grace visiting us from the Camp Santa Ana. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Before we jump in, we want to thank our sponsors, Ada Reina of Reina Homes. Thank you, Ada, for sponsoring. We also want to thank my mom, Esther Echeverria. Thank you, Mom, for continuing to sponsor the podcast. And finally, Shannon Laird, thank you also for being a monthly sponsor. We're so grateful. All right, ladies, well, it's time to jump in, and we'll actually start with Grace's story. So Grace, tell us a little bit about what brought you here to the Camp Santa Ana, and we'll go from there.
I came across Camp Santa Ana in August of 21. Unfortunately, I lost my husband in April, and at that time I was severely overweight. I was heavy burdened with life and just overwhelmed with everything. And I came across on Facebook. When I seen them, I called and I made an appointment, and I gradually came in and I asked them if they had morning classes, and they did. And so I've been here since then, and shortly after that, I, just started getting into the groove of things and working on myself. I came for the mental, and not the physical, but for the mental and the emotional aspect of being here, part of the camp, and just leaving my burdens and my anger, frustrations, everything on the mat. And I lost 70 pounds at that time.
Let's pause and yes.
Wow.
Thank you.
70 pounds.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
Thank you. I ended up being on the Wall of Fame, and so the week that I was going to be, have congratulated for being on the Wall of Fame, my son passed away that Sunday, and that was in 23, and March 5th, actually, of 23, and we waited. Lalo was gracious enough, and when I was ready, we went ahead and went forward with the Wall of Fame. But at that time, I saw what the camp did for me, and my mental status, my emotional state, and not only that, but it helped me on my physical aspect of it. And I had Stephanie, my daughter here, be part of it. I told her, you need to come and be a part of it because it's going to help you. Forget the physical, it's more of the mental state. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, Stephanie has also been a part of the camp here at Santa Ana.
Awesome. So Stephanie, what compelled you to come? I mean, you were going through a lot of grief in the moment. I'm assuming your mom, you had seen some maybe inspiration behind that drew you here?
Yeah, well, when my dad passed away in 2021, I gained 30 pounds. So from, depression and just trying to maneuver through that, I was on a healing journey in regards to my childhood trauma. So I was really trying to heal my relationship with my dad, and then he passed away. So it kind of really affected my mental health. Mm-hmm. So I gained 30 pounds, and my mom was like, girl, we got to do something, not just because of the 30 pounds, but I think, as a mom, you see your kids, going through it. So I did start coming in 2022, but then I got sick. So I stopped coming for maybe 8 months. And then in 2023 of March is when my brother passed away. Mm-hmm. And then I started coming back. So he died in March. I started coming back end of April, beginning of May is when I started coming consistently for my mental health.
Awesome. And now we know you work here at the camp, but how did that transformation happen?
So I started working here July the same year. I started coming consistently working, and at that time I was working a small business, and I shut it down because my brother, he was my baby brother, so or the youngest, we say baby, but he wasn't a baby.
For all Hispanic families,
Yeah.
yes. I'm the baby. I know.
Yeah, so I'm the oldest, so that he was my baby too. So I shut down my small business I just couldn't do it, like mentally, emotionally, it really, really, really affected me. I mean, till this day, I don't want to cry now, but to this day, it still really affects me. So I shut it down, and I was just at home, and I was like, I need something, and they were hiring here, so I inquired about it, like, what are the requirements, or what are you guys looking for? And so I started working here in July of 2023.
I love that. And then Karen, so Karen's the one who introduced us to Stephanie and Grace, but Karen, tell us a little bit about your relationship and how you guys met.
Yeah, so because she works here, she's always at the front, and she's always just, so happy. And then we started following each other, and then I started learning about, their story. And I'm like, she's very strong. Stephanie's very strong. She just, posts, and you're very vulnerable. She shares like her feelings, and I could tell she's going through, she's healing herself. And so, I just loved following her. And then I always tell her, like, man, she's just so strong. That's what I say. And then I always see how she posts, like, I could be doing other things. I could have gone a different route, but I chose to, make this my community. And this is an outlet, right? So it's been helping. So I have seen their transformation. I kind of have seen from her sharing just what they've gone through. I can't even imagine. And I just love like their strength in the relationship. And then I met Grace last summer when they had a kids camp. And then I brought my kids one day, like to try it out. And then she brought her, she brings her granddaughters. And it was the whole little group. And then I talked to her for a little bit, and I was like, oh, okay, like I had seen her. And then just, seeing their dynamic, their relationship, how much they motivate each other. And it's just been nice. So it's very beautiful to watch.
Yeah, that's so touching.
touching,
It's interesting, right? Like most people come into the gym or walk through a gym for the physical piece, like, oh,
Right.
I put on too much weight, or I got to get there, or it's New Year's. But I find that very admirable that you came in thinking about, like, this is going to help my mental health, that you instinctively knew. And I do think that is, I commend you, because mental health is a struggle, right? And a lot of people are really challenged with it, especially post-pandemic. And I think that's so beautiful that this space, right, is an outlet for that, and that you found like a place to call home, and that you found community and family. But I know that your story, right, is inspiring other people. And when they think about the camp, they think so much more than a gym, right? It truly, we talk about it all the time, but it really does truly transform you from the inside out. And I think that's beautiful that you were both willing to be vulnerable and share your story here today. And so I'm truly grateful that you would share that with us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
When I asked, you were very like, okay, because I thought it's inspiring. So
Yeah, Julie. So Julie also owns a camp, but it's in the Camp Norco, and it's fairly new. I imagine you're getting to know some of your clients. And do you see a lot of that, Julie, where people are coming in sort of for more than just the workout?
Yeah, and it's exactly how they talked about. It's not even about, they don't come into like, oh, I want to lose weight. It's just they're carrying so much on them. I actually do have 3 clients that I know of that have lost their sons too. So it's just like, I can't even imagine what you guys are going through. I have a son, so it's just, they inspire me that they keep going and showing up. But again, it's a mental thing. It's not even to lose weight, and it's just crazy.
yeah, and then
to
you're
see that.
surrounded around other people that
Yeah.
are just so uplifting.
For sure, yes.
Yeah, what was that moment? What made it feel different? Like, we can walk into any gym, right, and we can get a workout. What do you think made this space unique for each of you?
For me, I tried the regular gyms and I just wasn't feeling it. When I came to Camp Santa Ana, everybody's very friendly. Kat, Lalo, they are all engaged in your goals, right? So what would you like to accomplish? And they help you get there. And when I lost my son, the team here was very, they stood right behind us, and they supported us in the best way possible in every which way, and they were there for us. And I think, like you mentioned, it's not just a gym or a camp, it's a family. And it's a family dynamic, and the community that is built here is, we support one another, and I'm here for others as well, for those that have gone through whatever they've gone through, just like, the team here has been for me. It's amazing.
Nice.
What about you,
For me, I think it's just all overall, it just everything. In the gym, I wasn't very knowledgeable, so it's like I don't know how to use the machines. I don't know how to do this, that. I'm just gonna jump on the treadmill, just the usual. So what I really enjoyed was just the way that there's trainers and whatnot, but mainly it was the community for me. I mean, it was to the point where I was like, I wanted to work here, like I feel like I don't express it enough, but the camp has been honestly like one of the just foundations for me in regards to how much I've changed. I mean, I've lost myself 50 pounds since I started.
That's a celebration.
Since I started coming here like consistently, so working here helped me be more dedicated to my fitness journey, but also just the environment. Everybody's so uplifting, and everybody, like, even if you don't know them, they're like, let's go, they're pushing you on the mat. And just in general, like even my mom comes to the 5 a.m. class, and every fifth they all wear black to honor my brother, like
Oh my
for the
gosh.
class, like just little things like that,
Yes, it goes
just,
a long way.
It does, it really does, and like, Lalo, Oni, and Kat, and just everybody, the staff, the trainers here, they've just been amazing, like I don't think they realize the difference that they've made in our lives too, because like you said, like I didn't want to go with alcohol. I didn't want to go to drugs. I didn't want to go to all these other things. I wanted a healthy outlet because, things running your family. And so I just didn't want that to be me. I wanted to be okay, allow myself to feel my emotions and process the stress and the trauma and everything that comes with the loss. So, it's just in general, overall, the community is the main thing for me. But, like you mentioned earlier, the physical is just a plus.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know I never got to meet, of course, your brother and your husband, but if there's something that you would want the world to know about them, the best parts of them, or something that you miss, what would that be?
My husband was a big jokester. So he would clown everybody all the time, and people sometimes, he would hurt their feelings, but they would come back. And I even miss him clowning me sometimes.
Aww.
And my son, well, what can I tell you about my son? I miss everything about my son. I miss his hugs, his little laughter. He had this stutter, and it was just so cute to hear him. But, if I could have one last thing about him, it would probably be a last hug from him and a kiss. He would always dance with me in the kitchen as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Question: how do they both pass?
So my husband was chronically ill.
Okay.
And when he passed, he died of a heart attack. And he died in the home. He went through several procedures and stuff, and he actually had a heart attack in 2019, and I'm a nurse, so I brought him back.
Okay.
I started working on him, and I brought him back, and he ended up with a quadruple bypass, and that was in 2019. And, the Lord gave him to us for a few more years, and he ended up dying of a heart attack in April of 21.
Were you there with him, or?
I was there, actually. He died through the night. He knew, we knew his time was coming, and he... through the night, it was, if I may share, he was going through this transition from being here and transitioning home to meet Jesus. And my husband was blind, and he couldn't walk. He had amputation as well. So he was bedridden. And at that time, I remember he told me, I think today's the day. And I was like, oh, babe, do you want to go to the hospital? Or, what? We can go to the hospital. He's like, no. He says, I think I'm ready. And he started around 8 o'clock at night, and I prayed for him. I threw on some worship music, and I said, don't think that way. Let's just pray, and let's see what God says.
Yeah.
And at midnight, he says, call the kids. He had me call each one of my kids, and he told them that he loved them, and that he was very proud of them, and that he was going to miss them, that he thought that tonight was the night, and that he loved them, that he's very proud. He just kept saying that to each one. And so that night, around 3 o'clock in the morning, he starts telling me that he's like, babe, he's like, I feel like I'm in a tunnel, and I can't get out of it. So I just laid my hand on him, and I was praying for him. And probably within the next few minutes, he's like, babe, there's a lot of green trees here. There's a lot of green trees. It's beautiful. And I knew he was blind. So I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, it really is happening. And I'm like, babe, is it green? He's like, yes. He goes, it's beautiful. And I said, babe, if it's your time, me and the kids are going to be okay. Don't worry about us. And then a little bit after that, he's like, babe, he's walking behind me. He's walking behind me. I said, who? He said, Jesus, he's walking behind me. I said, babe, just go rest in his arms, babe. I said, I love you, and, you know, we'll see each other soon, you know, one day. And I said, you're okay. And I just hugged him and I kissed him. And I hadn't slept in like 72 hours because we were going through, we knew that his time was coming.
Yeah.
And so I fell asleep. And when I woke up to the alarm, because I was also working a 40 plus, you know, hour job.
Wow.
And so when I woke up to the alarm, I felt him, and I remembered, and I felt him, and he was already gone. And I called the kids, and they came, and that's when he passed.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was crazy that night he passed, because I had my phone on do not disturb. And I was sitting down. It was already midnight. It was probably like 12:15, 12:20. And I had my phone unlocked in my hand. And so when your phone's unlocked on D&D, the calls will come through even though it's on D&D, like if it's open, right?
Yes.
And I was just sitting there with it unlocked on my hand. Just sitting there like I was stuck watching something on the TV, and it was already past my bedtime, you know, because I'm already old. So
Same
it
girl.
was past my bedtime, and so I was sitting there, and then my mom was calling me, and I was like, what the heck? It's midnight. Like, why is my mom calling me? And then I answered, so I got to have that last conversation with him where he like basically said all the things I wish I heard throughout my whole childhood, you know, but he was like, you know, I'm proud of you, I love you, and I think I'm dying. And I was like, no, Dad, like maybe your medication's hitting you different or something. And he was like, maybe, you know, but I just want you to know, like, I'm proud of you, and, you know, keep being the boss, you know, boss B that you are, and you know, like keep doing what you're doing, and you know, I love you so much, and I just want you to know that. And so I did get to have that last conversation with my dad before he passed away. So like maybe 3-4 hours after that, my mom called me to let me know that he had passed away. Yeah.
Wow, what a gift.
And like my mom mentioned, he was a jokester. He talked smack all the time, all the time. Like if he liked you, you could not run away from it. Like, so I do miss that aspect of my dad. And my brother, man, I miss so much about my brother. Just the relationship, I think, in general, because I would take him to school. I would pick him up from school, watch them play sports and stuff. And he actually had a baby a month before he passed away.
Oh my God.
And so, you know, just the relationship, like he would get off work early and come to my house and just hang out and just be like, hey, Stephanie, what are you doing? I'm going to come over. And I miss cooking for him. He would always ask me like, hey, Steph, like, or my family calls me Nani. He's the only one that could not call me Nani. He just would call me Stephanie. He couldn't call me Nani. So like he would just be like, Stephanie, can you make me something? Or can you make this for me? Can you make that for me? So I miss cooking for him, and just our relationship. He liked to make me mad. He loved making me mad, but I couldn't stay mad at him. He would like make me mad and then just be like, you know, you're not mad at me. You know, you're not mad at me. You know, we were 6 years apart, so I was 6 years older than him. So just in general, you know, like my mom said, he was the glue. He always said, hey, this is happening. Let's go to Monster Jam. Let's go to this football game. Let's go to this baseball game. Always like setting stuff up for us to do as a family. So I think that would be probably the main thing.
And
How old was he?
26 when he passed away.
And I see the baby you post her. You're with her a lot, yeah.
Yeah, she looks like him. Huh?
Aw.
Looks like him, exactly like him.
Yeah.
My son, it's weird because it had been like a few weeks that I had been noticing like he was a little sad, a little quiet, and I kept telling him, "Are you okay? Are you feeling good? Are you okay?" Long story short, when he was younger, probably 16, he was being scouted for football. He was a great football player, and he started having palpitations, and so I ended up taking him to the hospital. and they had to convert him because his pulse was 200 and something, and so so he was having heart issues at that time, but. He went through his procedures and everything was good. And that was, we're talking 2015, 2016, something like that. And so the 2 weeks before, he was like, no, Mom, I'm okay. I said, is your heart good? Are you feeling okay? Any chest pain, this, that, whatever? No, he said he was fine. And then I said, you look sad to me. And he was like, Mom, I just had my daughter. She's beautiful, this, that. And I couldn't ask for any more. He was, I do wish my dad would have seen her. And I said, yeah, mijo. I said, well, guess what? I go, if your dad was here, he didn't have any sight. I go, so he's seeing her right now.
Yeah.
He has his eyes and he's able to see her from above. I go, so she has an angel up above. And he was like, yeah, that's true. And the day before, so on March 4th, I had a wedding. I was at my goddaughter's wedding, and I was just feeling very, very restless. And I ended up going to a birthday after the wedding, and I was like, I need to get out of here. So I went home, and I found him in the kitchen. And I said, hey, mijo, you're up. And he was like, yeah, Mom. He's like, yeah, I was just he loved chocolate chip cookies heated up with milk. He's like, I was just getting some chocolate chip cookies and I'm going to drink a glass of milk. And I said, oh, okay. And then so I stood there talking to him for a little bit. And I told him, mijo, I love you so much. And, he gave me a big hug. He's like, I love you too, Mom. Thank you for everything and whatnot. And so that was that. And then the next morning I came to Elite here on Sunday. And I said, I usually go to church on Sundays at 10 o'clock. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to go to church today. I said, I'm going to go home. I'm going to tell my son and his fiance to go out. I'll watch the girls. I'll watch Julissa. And so they could, have some me time, some alone time. And I stopped at Dunkin' Donuts, got his fiance her favorite drink and whatnot. And the minute I walked in through those doors, I would have probably been at church, but the minute I walked in through those doors, I hear Deanna yelling, and I ran over there and to their room, and I knocked on my other son's door, and I said, I was like, hurry up. And I went back there, and he was having a heart attack. He wasn't breathing, and so we started working on him. We called 911. I took the girls, put him in the room, and while my son was working on him, I had Deanna call 911. I went back there, and we were switching places and just working on him until the ambulance got there. And and unfortunately, he didn't make it, and so he ended up passing away of a heart attack as well. My
So
son.
young.
Yes, so young.
Sorry to hear
So
this.
sorry.
So sorry.
It must be so hard to initially to share your story because you're in the process of grieving. But I imagine that so many people watching you, right, sort of battle that grief the way you did gives them hope. Yeah. Right, that there is light on the other side of that darkness, and if I hear right, part of that is your faith journey, knowing that you will get to see them both again one day.
It is. I think that if it wasn't by God's grace, I wouldn't be here today. I don't know. God gives me the strength to keep going, and there's our story helps a lot of people, and we get that a lot. You're strong, this and that, but I know that it's awkward for people asking us about my son or asking me about my son, and sometimes the topic is not. They don't know how to ask.
Right.
And I talk about him because I love keeping his memory alive.
Yes.
So the more I talk about him, the more alive I keep him. And so just enjoying all those memories that I have of him, and being able to share, and it just does something to me. It just makes my heart full.
Can you tell us his name?
His name is Frankie Elizondo.
Frankie.
He was 26 years old when he passed.
So young.
Yeah,
Yes.
very young.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. I know that, not all moments are planned in life, right? But I know your story will continue to heal so many others in their broken places. And I just want to thank you for being here, for sharing your testimony. And I pray that whomever needed this, when this airs, it'll be the right time in God's time.
Yes.
That they needed to feel feel like that there was hope. And so just want to thank you so much for being here
You're welcome.
today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, everybody, I know that today was a heavy topic, but I pray that someone is touched by Grace and Stephanie's story who needed to hear this. Thank you for tuning in to Exchanging Secrets podcast. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and to share their story. And we're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok under Exchanging Secrets. Bye, friends.
Bye.
friends.
Bye.
Thank you, friends, for joining us. Tune in each week as we give you an intimate window into our decades of friendship and exchange secrets on how we are striving to successfully navigate life's challenges. Remember to like and subscribe to our podcast on YouTube and other podcast platforms. The content in our podcast is for information and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute medical, legal, financial, or other professional advice. Please consult with a professional for specific advice tailored to your situation. The views and opinions expressed by our guests and sponsors are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Tell Me Your Secrets, LLC.